How's it going, beautiful Facebook Huddle lights? Rawlin, Vanatta here. Vince Rountree. I'm fixing to pull him on board here in just a second. But I got a question for you. Today on this episode, y'all are going to be able to take a test. You're going to be able to take a test that will figure out whether or not you have really bad bugs burrowing in your bowels. What? Yeah, we actually have bugs in our bowels. Here's the question. Do you have good ones? Do you have bad ones? The bad ones give you certain symptoms. We're going to discuss that today, and it relates to a lot going on with your health. Let's roll that intro.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Daily Huddle. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning to each and every one of you that has made the decision to join us here on the Daily Huddle. I am excited. I am thrilled. I am beside myself because I get to spend this moment with you. Today, we are going to touch on a subject that I call the foundation of all health starts in the gut. And we're going to talk about that today. Oh, yes, we're going to talk about that. And we're going to share some information that I think will have you to see life and health in a different way. But before we get going in that, we have a few questions. My first question is to Andrea Villa. Buenos días, Mari, ¿cómo está?
I am the way I say I am. I had never thought that in Spanish. So I am bilingually inspired. That's the way I say I am.
Bilingually inspired. What a beautiful way to say you are. You are as you say you are, and you are bilingually inspired. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing to be able, you can make a decision. You can decide how you are. And that is a wonderful way to start the day. My next question goes to Giovanni. Giovanni, where are you, my friend? Where are you?
Okay, hold on, let me look.
Yeah.
Apparently, no matter where I go, I'm here.
Regardless of where you go, you are always
Here.
You are here. You are the way you say you are. And the time is now. The time is now. You are here. You are the way you say you are. And if those three things can be what you use to frame your day, it's going to be a beautiful day. So, for those of you that may not quite grasp the separation and the division and the distribution of skills and talents between myself and my business partner, you may already know that one of us is a creative genius and the other one of us is not. One of us has a appreciation and a love of math and science, and the other one does not. And the creative one is the one that comes up with these titles, and the science one says, where did that come from? So today, we are going to talk about a test that will determine, do you have these bad bugs burrowing in your bowels? One quick guess, I ain't come up with that. I can't come up with alliteration. I can't come up, but what is so interesting and surprising about what we talk about today has to do with what is going on in your large intestines, in your colon, and your large intestine, which is part of the digestive tract. And for, I would say, probably up until the last even 20 years in science, we looked at the digestive tract as the colon, the large intestines, really just as a place of accumulation of waste matter. And literally for up until the last probably 20 years, that's what the best scientists thought that was. But oh my goodness, what has been discovered in the last 10, 20 years is so powerful. You see, inside, well, first of all, we have 39, 40 trillion. Understand what I'm saying? Trillion is a ridiculous number. None of us can really get our arms around how big that number is. But the number of microbes in our body, we actually have more microbial cells than we do human cells. We significantly more. And 70% of them reside in that large intestine. And what we now know, and as a matter of fact, I am going to, if I can, I am going to just share my screen because I want you to see one image that will frame out our discussion. Okay, can you guys see symptoms associated with damage to the gut, the microbiota, which is dysbiosis? Can you guys see that? Okay, great, thank you. All right, so this first list would make sense. This list, and if you're on the phone, if you're looking on a phone, I apologize. It may be small, but dysbiosis is when the health promoting bacteria is in balance with the pathogens or the disease promoting bacteria. Okay, when that gets out of sync, a disorder called dysbiosis happens. And since it is in the digestive tract, intestinal tract, all of these symptoms make sense. Abdominal pain, gas, bloating, IBS, IBD, diarrhea, constipation, all of this stuff makes sense. If you've got dysbiosis and you have illnesses in the digestive tract, that makes sense. But this list, dysbiosis is also the cause of things like weight gain, fatigue, brain fog, mood imbalance, difficulty concentrating, skin outbreaks, joint pains. Oh, come on. Sinus infections. And it goes on even outside of that. Heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol. These things don't make sense. It does not make sense that dysbiosis, a condition inside the large intestines, can cause a plethora of illnesses that are outside of the digestive tract. And the reason why that happens is because when your microbiota is all in sync, when you have plenty of good gut bacteria, you make an incredible substances called short chain fatty acids. Now that is that is the strongest anti-inflammatory and antioxidant that the body can have. And the way to get plenty of good gut bacteria is feed it with fiber. Feed it with fiber, because the more fiber you eat, the more good gut bacteria. Where is fiber? You can find it in fruits, you can find it in vegetables, you can find it in whole grains, and you can find it in legumes, anything in a pot, beans, split peas, chickpeas. There is zero fiber in meat, zero fiber in dairy, zero fiber in highly refined foods. 98% of the foods on the grocery shelf have very little fiber. The way to find fiber is here. The way to find, the way that I don't want you to find fiber is here. So many people think, well, fiber, I can just get Metamucil. Don't get it from there. Why? Because there are literally thousands of types of fiber in a black bean. A garbanzo bean has a different mix of fiber. Orange has a different mix of fiber. Brown rice has a different mix of fiber. And when you eat fiber, not from here, but from here, then you get to feed the good gut bacteria. And when you feed the good gut bacteria, you can then make those short chain fatty acids, because only fiber can survive that long tunnel. If you think about the digestive tract as a long tunnel, one that starts here and makes it down. Now the pH in the stomach is highly acidic. It makes it all the way down the small intestines and makes it all the way down to here. Fiber gets down there and feeds the good gut bacteria. You eat in two phases. You eat to feed yourself, and you eat to feed the good gut bacteria that's all the way down there at the end. Now, this is just 5 minutes of what's really an hour-long presentation on gut health. But what I want you to understand today is that all health, the foundation of all health, starts in the gut. And the reason why is because literally the healthiest substances that the body makes are these things called short chain fatty acids. And only good gut bacteria makes that. What about I take it in the pill? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It has to come from the large intestines. It's got to come from that bacteria. And when you are making short chain fatty acids, your blood pressure goes down. Your fasting glucose comes down. Inflammation goes down. Your risk for heart disease goes down. Your risk for stroke goes down. Your risk for kidney disease goes down. You want your body to make as much short chain fatty acids as you can. And there's three of them, butyrate, acetate, and propionate. Nobody cares about that. Rawlin says the only difference between me and Vince, he knows all the fancy words. So I have to learn the fancy words just so I can pull my side of the bargain, because he's super creative. And if I don't know the words, then he don't have a partner. He got nothing. So I just got to throw the words out every now and then.
You know, Vince, I want to pop in here for a second because, you know, I was sitting here thinking and listening to you, and you're talking about these, 30 trillion, bugs in our gut, right? And I want everyone to think about this, conceptualize this for a second. Let's pretend like you counted to 1 trillion. If you counted to 1 trillion, I did the calculation here. If you counted to 1 trillion, and assuming you could do it without having to go to the bathroom, without having to eat, and without having to sleep, and being able to count one number per second. Of course, once you got to 399,464,000,464, it takes longer than a second. But let's just say it was only a second that you had to count, right? So does anybody have any idea? Does anybody have any guesses how long it would take? Just
30 trillion seconds. In other words, how long is 30 trillion seconds? Is that where you're going? How long is 30 trillion seconds?
Yeah.
A long time.
And it roughly works out to be like 31,000 years to count to 1 trillion. So the reason I mention that is that it's try to give you a grapple. If you counted for 31,000 years, one count per second, that doesn't still get you to the amount of little bugs living in your gut. So here's the deal. Do you want 30 trillion little bugs working for you or against you? You want them working for your body, for your health, or against your body and against your health? Because that's a choice you make every single time you sit down with a hot dog. You say, I'm going to feed the bugs that's going to make me die faster. Right? So don't look at the piece of cake or the sweet thing or that ribeye steak or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Y'all know what y'all not be eating, right? And you sneak some in occasionally. So think about this. So ask yourself, do I want to have an enemy? Do I want to have a 30 trillion count enemy working against me, or do I want a 30 trillion army working for me? And that's really what it comes down to. So Vince, what else you got for us, or are we going to go into questions?
I guess we can go into questions.
I think questions would be good.
And we didn't even talk about the connection between the gut and the brain. I mean, that's not, we ain't even, I mean, that's your favorite slide there.
That's my favorite slide. You're right.
We didn't even go into that, but suffice it to say, and we can go into it. I can pull that up. If I pull that slide up, you're going to talk for another 2 hours, and then Gio and Sorrell are going to tell us we're over time because we don't have 2 hours. But that's what you need on that slide.
I'll say this. The thing about, so this is something new that I'm really realizing over the course of time. We're all crack addicts. What do I mean by that? Let me ask y'all a question. If you were a crack addict, and obviously I'm being facetious, we're not actually crack addicts, in case anybody are very literal on the internet. So imagine for a second that there's a crack addict, right? And imagine that I have some books over here. Imagine that if I were a crack addict and I had some crack behind the books that were just, within 4 feet of me, or I had some in the mailbox around the corner, or, around the corner of the house, all the way out to the mailbox. And if I was needing a fix, which one would I grab first? Would I go all the way to the mailbox, or would I get the one right near me? Right? Like I'd get the one right there. right? Why? It's because my brain knows that it will get a dopamine hit. It will get a motivating chemical in the right there. And then so then I get my fix. Okay. What the food industry has done is the food industry has fed our bad bugs because you got to understand that the 80% of our dopamine is produced in the gut, not the brain. People think about dopamine as being a brain chemical. It is. It's the motivating chemical. It's your motivation factor. Now think about this for a second. So if you have 30 trillion bacteria, 50% of dopamine. Thank you, Vince. 50% of dopamine, 90% of serotonin. 90% of serotonin is your happy hormone. That's your good feeling hormone, right? 50% of dopamine, that's your reward center. Over 30 different neurotransmitters. Now think about this for a second. Your gut has more nerves than your spinal cord. Okay? And you don't think your gut might have an influence on the way you think, an influence on the way you feel, an influence? It don't matter what I eat. It don't matter what kind of fuel I put in my engine. Like, that's insanity to think about, right? So what am I getting at? I'm getting at this. Food companies have gotten really, 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 really good at feeding your bad bacteria and keeping those desires going. So the question is how much do you want their pockets controlling your dopamine? How much do you want their pockets to be controlling your serotonin? How much do you want their pockets to be controlling the way you decide on how much time you get to spend with your family, how much, whether you're going to be motivated to eat a good thing or a bad thing? And here's the deal. Depending on the type of gut bacteria that you have in your gut, it will depend on what type of cravings you have.
It's really, I would summarize it in saying this, and saying it this way. Take every opportunity you can to feed your healthy bacteria in your gut. And how do you do that? Simple. Eat as much fruit as you can. Eat as much vegetables as you can. As much potatoes, as much rice, as much beans, as much corn, as much oatmeal, eat as much plant-based foods as you can. Why? Because that's where fiber is. And the good gut bacteria thrives on fiber. And the converse is true. If you don't eat fiber, the good gut bacteria will die. And so you have total control of your health by simply eating a wide variety of plant-based foods. Now, what you're up against is there is a $1 trillion juggernaut called the food industry, made up of multi-billion-dollar organizations with one objective in mind: make as much profit as possible. And how do you make as much profit as possible? Come up with foods that are so incredibly pleasurable that you need to buy more. And it works. So these $1 trillion food companies, they think about this. A multi-billion-dollar company, they can hire the best scientists to spend money to set up these incredible labs, and they can bring in thousands of people as test subjects, and they can hook your brain up to sensors to see what lights up your brain. And they do that. And they do that. You don't believe me? Open a bag of Doritos, eat one Dorito and put the bag down and don't touch anything else. I'll bet you can't do that. It's intentional. It's intentional. Billion-dollar companies just want to make money. So they make these foods that literally lights up your brain. As incredible as mango, I had a sweet mango yesterday. I had a pineapple yesterday that was so sweet. I loved it. It doesn't light up your brain the way a Dorito does. Because there's no chemicals in there that man created to make that happen. And so I want you to take the opportunity as much as you can to just feed the good gut bacteria with fiber.
You know,
question.
Vance,
oh my God,
Vance. So I'm going to say this. This is a question I want y'all to ask yourself. I want y'all to be serious when you ask this question. Who do you want putting more money into your gut? Because whoever puts more money into your gut controls it, controls its cravings, controls its production, controls that whole workforce that's down there working either for you or against you. Do you want it? Do you want the food companies to invest more in your gut than you do? Right? Right? You want the pharmaceutical companies to invest more in your gut than you do? Right? Who do you want investing into your gut?
Time for one question.
Okay. You got 2 minutes.
Got 2 minutes. Time for one question.
Gio was going to cut you off. He told me so. No, I'm just playing. He didn't say that.
I wouldn't blame him. Yeah, Stan the man.
Just, first of all, thanks for everything. Both you guys. Say something like the Metamucil. Or even something like myself, where I've occasionally taken I would use slippery elm. Right? What is the disadvantage of using those kind of additive substances?
Man,
Yeah,
that's such a great question. That's such a great question.
Yeah, excellent question, Stan. And here is what I want you to get to understand. Within a potato, a sweet potato, there's thousands of different types of fiber within a sweet potato. Well, let's go to bean, because there's so many different types of beans, right? A black bean, a canna lily bean, a garbanzo bean. Each one of them has thousands of different types of fiber. And not one, thousands. Metamucil, which if you're going to add that to a bunch of fruits and vegetables and beans and potatoes that you're already eating, well, that's one thing. My concern with Metamucil is if you're looking at that as your sole source.
Gotcha.
You don't want to do that. If you want to add that, that's probably not a bad thing. I would just recommend just go more fiber. But if you feel more comfortable adding that, that's not horrible. The problem that I have is if all you're eating is meats and dairies and heavily processed foods, and you're looking to this purchased fiber as your sole source, because it is impossible for that to match the quality of fiber that you're going to get in eating a wide variety of plants.
Perfect. Would that be the case with Metamucil also? I know that's two questions. I know we got to end. So I can get the answer to that another time.
Yes. No. Okay. That's it. Okay. Yeah. That's the answer. That's the answer.
Okay.
Here's a good rule of thumb. Where did that Metamucil get its fiber? From the plants, right? But it's only a piece of it. It's these little bitty pieces of it, right? So it's like, do you want the whole, like would someone like a pure gold ring, or would they like a gold plated ring? Which one would you rather have? Right? Like Do you want the whole thing, or do you want like a piece of the thing that's not really the thing, but it just kind of resembles the thing? It's like, which one's going to be better, right? And it's like, would you rather have a real diamond, or like, a shiny piece of clear plastic? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it looks close. It's kind of like it, but upon further examination, it's not even close, and your gut bacteria can't be fooled because it's their food source. It's their food source. So you can starve them or not. And you starve them by not giving them a wide variety of different plant-based sources, that are whole, So hope that's helpful.
Yeah. Excellent question, Stan. I appreciate that.
Fantastic question.
That's it. All right. I got 31 minutes after the hour. So, Rawlin, do you have anything before I wrap up?
To you.
You only have one body in this lifetime. Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? That's it. You've only got one face in this lifetime. You've only got one body in this lifetime. If you don't take care of it, where are you going to live? You've only got one body in this lifetime, so eat as though your life depends on it, because it does. My name is Vince Rountree. Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Huddle a Day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Andrea.
It was awesome. Thank you.